The Galactic Council Assembly Chamber shimmered with artificial grandeur, obsidian walls laced with pulsating star matter veins, arched windows opening to the gas-swirled skies of Virex 9. Each seat was a throne, built to assert the pride of empires. Every delegate radiated confidence, arrogance, or something worse, certainty. All except one. Commander Juno Viral stood silently at the edge of the central dais, the only human in the chamber. No ceremonial armor, no diplomats flanking her, no visible weapon. Just a matte black uniform, a silver badge, and a single object no larger than a coin resting on the console before her. Chancellor Threx Malver, his bioluminescent crest pulsing with smugness, slithered forward. The room dimmed for effect as he rose to speak, flanked by envoys from 100 species, tentacled, scaled, crystalline, feathered. "You are far from home, human," he began, voice thick with condescension. "And even farther from understanding. Let me make it simple." Juno didn't blink. "Your planet lies on rich veins of iridium cores and quantum ice. You occupy a vital corridor. You have refused council membership for 6 centuries. These indiscretions are over." He leaned in, mandibles clicking. "You will surrender Earth's autonomy or we will reduce it to ash. You have 1 planetary cycle to comply." Several delegates chuckled. The Zell emissary hissed, "They still use combustion-based metallurgy." The Thurn ambassador clinked 2 glasses together. "I hear their ships still need crew." Viral pressed her thumb to the device. It emitted no sound, no light, no fanfare, but above the assembly the stars dimmed. "Virex Command," a voice crackled through the Council's emergency channel, "we've lost contact with orbital defense platforms." A hush fell over the room. Malver's crest stiffened. "Explain." "Unknown. They simply vanished." Another voice broke in. "Aegis Fleet Echo just dropped off long-range scans." "What do you mean dropped?" Malver barked. "Gone, sir. 17 capital ship. Nothing left." "Sabotage," the Zell ambassador spat. "No signs of intrusion. No debris. Just empty space." The council stared at Juno. She met Malver's eyes. "We heard your ultimatum. You've mistaken our silence for fear." The device on the table pulsed once, faintly. Across the galaxy, at strategic relay stations built over centuries, alarms went silent. Stargates collapsed into inert rings. Council armories powered down. Every encrypted network flickered and went dark. "You've triggered war," growled Malver. "No," Juno replied. "We've ended yours." She turned and walked calmly from the dais. 2 guards moved to block her path, but stopped. One gripped his rifle tighter, then let it drop. His heartbeat had accelerated by 90 beats in 3 seconds. His nervous system overwhelmed by a silent, invisible pressure he couldn't understand. She walked past him without pause. Back on Earth, deep beneath the Arctic crust, the Terran Void Command activated Operations Final Mask and Vigil Hammer. At once, the great Terran cloak began to fall. "Lunar Defense Orbital, Black Horizon. Status?" Juno asked, stepping onto the bridge of her waiting vessel. "Operation Vigil Hammer has penetrated Virex 9's quantum mesh," her adjutant, Lieutenant Rayan, confirmed. "They'll be flying blind within the hour." "Any retaliation?" "They're trying. Nothing's sticking. EMP pulses, hypershock relays, even psychic emissions. No bite. We've mapped every move they can make 5 steps ahead." Juno nodded once. "Did they laugh?" Rayan asked. Juno's voice was cool. "Yes. Still think we should have waited? We waited for 600 years. Enough mercy. If they'd stayed away from Earth, we'd have stayed ghosts." Rayan leaned back. "They don't even know what we are, do they?" "No. But they're about to." Galactic Assembly Emergency Session, 3 hours later. "They're bluffing," Malver shouted, pounding the crystalline dais with a tendril. "They can't do this." 13 fleets lost, someone whispered. "They violated Council protocol. They never joined the Council." Are we under attack? No ships. No invasions. Just silence. They're not attacking. They're erasing. The room buzzed with a fear no species present had felt in centuries. A junior officer from the Jethari delegation offered a trembling datapad to his superior. Sir, these were recovered from a deep space probe. It caught visual before it lost contact. On screen, a sleek black vessel, barely the size of a frigate, glided across the void. It left no emissions, no signature. But behind it, stars bent unnaturally. Gravity wells formed where none should exist. Time lapsed erratically in its wake. They call it the HSS Omen, the officer whispered. It was alone. We sent a fleet. It didn't fire once. And it was the only one that came back. Earth Pacific Command. Juno watched the feed in silence. The Council's panic was spreading fast. Border systems were going dark, not because of violence, but because humans no longer wished to be seen. We have 3 more fleets approaching Sol, Rayan said. Send the Omen, Juno replied. 1 pass. No damage. Just vanish their weapons. Let them understand. Rayan hesitated. Shouldn't we make a statement? We just did, Juno said. Now we make them listen. No banners had been raised. No battles declared. No planets burned. And yet, the war had already ended. Because Earth had spoken once. And once was enough. The council chamber was in shambles. Lights flickered above the delegates' heads. Starlines stuttered and fizzled behind the great windows of Virex 9, obscured by glitching hollow fields. What had once been the proud heart of galactic authority now felt uncertain, flickering between denial and dread. High Chancellor Threx Malver gripped the edges of his throne with slow, curling tendrils. His expression remained fixed, but his crest had lost its glow. I want answers, he growled. And I want them now. 3 officers stood before him, military liaisons from the Valkyrie, Thurn, and Jethari empires. They exchanged glances, none eager to speak first. Finally, General Krothex of the Valkyrie stepped forward, plating gleaming. The disappearance of Fleet Echo was not due to sabotage or accident. It is confirmed, unknown Terran technology nullified all systems within a controlled radius. No distress, no resistance. They were taken. Taken how? Malver demanded. These humans were primitives. We observed them for centuries. With respect, Krothex said, voice tight, we were observing what they wanted us to see. The Thurn emissary scoffed. So now you believe Earth holds godlike weapons? Based on the sudden failure of ships we built? Perhaps you failed. Malver cut the argument short with a wave. I will not have our command fractured by panic. Earth is one planet. We are a council of empires. He tapped a control pad on his armrest. A hologram shimmered to life, a tactical scan of Sol system, gathered from outdated probes and half-suppressed reports. We have 17 planetary-scale assets. They have 1 world, 3 moons, and scattered orbital junkyards. Their outer colonies are minor. He turned to the room. We crush them now, decisively. We send a signal to the galaxy that defiance is not a strategy. Within the hour, Council military mobilization began. 2 carrier fleets and 5 support squadrons were dispatched to Sol system. The combined force numbered nearly 200 ships, enough firepower to destroy 10 planets, enough confidence to match. On the bridge of the Chariot of Flame, Admiral Zeklor reviewed final deployment orders with a confident flick of his ocular stalks. Begin hypershift. Earth will be brought to heel. Virex 9 War Council Chambers. Not all delegates agreed. They erased 17 ships without warning, said Ambassador Sorrel of the Avenari, her silken wings fluttering with unease. And did not gloat. They didn't celebrate. That should terrify you. Are you suggesting surrender? Malver snapped. I'm suggesting caution, she replied. The Jethari technician who had recovered footage of the Omen ship stood at the back, quietly listening. He opened his mouth to speak, then closed it again. No one was listening. Back in the galactic void, just outside the Sol system, the advanced scout flotilla drifted into position. 10 ships. 1 mission. Reconnaissance. Prepare for scan, the lead officer commanded. Mark orbital defense platforms. Ignore civilian traffic. Nothing on sensors, his crewman muttered. No satellites. No comms. Not even background noise. That can't be right, double check. The stars twisted. Not slowly. Not subtly. 1 second the view was stable. The next, constellations blurred, warped, then snapped back. One of the rear frigates vanished from the display. Not destroyed. Not exploded. Simply missing. Form up. Defensive screen. Too late. A single black ship appeared at the edge of the formation, seamless, light drinking, not transmitting a signature. It didn't fire. It just existed. And that was enough. Power systems across the flotilla flickered. Artificial gravity failed. Weapon locks disengaged. Neural interface suits spasmed. The Terran ship transmitted a single word, leave. Captain Draylon, now gripping the arms of his chair with trembling claws, shouted, "Fire all batteries." They did. Missiles, lasers, kinetic rounds. Nothing landed. The black ship blinked, once, and reappeared behind them. Then ships began to disappear again. One by one. In silence. Without damage. Without time. In minutes, the entire fleet was gone, except for one ship, drifting alone, powerless. Inside, Captain Draylon recorded his final log. They play with dimensions like we play with gravity. We never saw them. Never touched them. If this message survives, turn back. The message barely reached a deep-range beacon before his ship vanished as well. Virex 9 Crisis Session. The footage arrived 2 hours later. Dozens of delegates stared at it in silence. No sound. Just visuals. A black ship, no larger than a corvette, gliding across a frozen starfield. Then ships vanishing without attack. Not destroyed, removed. Some form of quantum displacement? Muttered one physicist. Temporal denial field, whispered another. Malver stood slowly. They are provoking us, playing with shadows to force us into submission. Sorrel rose. You still think this is theater? I think, he said coldly, they need to see the weight of the Council. Not just scouts. Not messages. Warships. He slammed his fist onto the command plate. Dispatch Fleet Orion. All of it. Earth, Terran Void Command. Lieutenant Rayan skimmed the intercepted declaration from the Council. They're sending Orion, she said. Full deployment. Commander Juno Viral didn't look up from her console. Expected. They think we're bluffing. They won't after this. Should we escalate? Juno nodded. Release the Omen again. Passive presence only. No damage. Let them see us, feel us, and walk away thinking they survived by skill, not mercy. Rayan paused. You think they'll believe that? No, Juno said. But they'll want to. The galaxy was shifting. The Council thought it was preparing for war. But war had already arrived, and it didn't look like them. It didn't announce itself with fire. It came quietly, without noise or rage, wearing a human face. The HSS Omen coasted above Neptune's orbit, silent and unbothered. No visible engines. No emissions. Just a matte black void slicing through space as if it didn't belong to it. Inside the command chamber, every surface was subdued. No lights, no buttons, just responsive surfaces and neural links humming beneath skin. Commander Juno Viral stood before the main display, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. She wasn't watching space. She was watching the future unfold. They're deploying Orion, Rayan said. Full spectrum. Capital ships. Dreadnoughts. Support drones. They're serious this time. They weren't before? Juno asked dryly. Rayan allowed a tight smile. They believed in overwhelming force. It's all they know. Juno gave a small nod. Then let's show them what they don't know. She turned to the helm. Begin silent intercept. I want us inside their fleet formation before they cross Mars' orbit. Acknowledged. Cloak stable. Time to contact, 32 minutes. The Omen didn't need speed. It folded space like a page turning in a book. Aboard the CNS Bravura, flagship of Orion Fleet, Admiral Corthal stared at the tactical overlay. He didn't like it. The humans haven't responded? He asked. No, sir, his communications officer replied. No transmissions. No fleet activity. Just one ghost signal, faint gravitational ripple near Neptune. Matching signature from the prior incident. Corthal exhaled slowly through his secondary lungs. Could be bait. The bridge was tense. He glanced over his staff, some of the best minds in the Council's military. Yet even now, beneath the armor, he sensed it. The silence of the humans wasn't confidence. It was disquieting. No visible defense platforms, the sensor tech reported. Still no resistance. No orbital response. Corthal narrowed his eyes. They're letting us walk in. A junior officer hesitated. Sir, maybe that's the point. The Admiral's claws tapped against his armrest. Form battle line. Widespread. Prepare shields and full countermeasures. No one gets complacent. These humans have teeth. They're just hiding them. The Omen appeared behind the Orion fleet without so much as a flicker. Not cloaked. Just invisible to everything they understood. It moved between carriers, bypassing sensor arrays, ignoring shields. Every ship it passed began to feel off. Slight power fluctuations, minor system delays, data anomalies too small to register as threat. But they added up. One ship's targeting array froze. Another's internal comms looped nonsense. A dreadnought launched a fighter wing without issuing the command. In the Bravura, lights dimmed for half a second. Diagnostics. Corthal snapped. Running, no errors found. No, this is no coincidence. We've been infiltrated. But there was nothing to detect. No breaches. No intrusions. The systems simply slip. Then the Omen transmitted a short signal to the Council fleet. Not words. Images. A boy with bloodied hands holding a broken toy in a war zone. A mother shielding her daughter in the shadow of a fallen orbital. A soldier walking across ash-covered Earth, carrying nothing but silence. Each image burned itself into the minds of the crew. The message was clear: you forced this. The Omen pulled back to high orbit above Earth. It hadn't fired a shot. It hadn't needed to. Back on Earth, deep inside the Terran vault beneath Greenland, Juno stepped into a room lined with relics from centuries of hidden history, shattered alien hulls, memory banks from long-defeated incursions, and most importantly, the fracture core. Rayan followed her in. They haven't attacked, Rayan said. They're scared. But their pride is louder than their logic. Juno approached the core. Its structure hummed gently, a crystalline web of subspace threads woven into impossible geometry. She placed her hand on its surface. Time to let them see what they've feared for centuries. Rayan raised an eyebrow. You're releasing the Accord archive? Juno nodded. Let them learn what happened the last time Earth went to war. Galactic Broadcast Channel, unauthorized override. Across hundreds of Council-controlled systems, holodisplays flickered. Then the human message began. A voice, calm, firm, unmistakably human, echoed across the stars. This is Earth. You've pushed for centuries. Tested us. Mocked us. You believed we were beneath you. That we were a species too fractured to unify. Too primitive to fight back. You were wrong. The visual changed. Hundreds of alien wrecks. Footage from past Council invasions. Ones never officially acknowledged. Human fleets fighting in absolute silence. Black ships cleaving through enemy lines like whispers. We chose isolation. Not weakness. We allowed surveillance. Not ignorance. We played the part you expected. Until you turned toward our children. The message closed on one final image. A human child, standing in front of a school building. Smiling. In the background, a Terran warship hovered silently in the sky, casting a shadow over everything. You threatened our home. Now run. Then the message cut. Virex 9. Council emergency session. Panic spread. That footage, those ships, why haven't we seen any of this before? Demanded the Thurn ambassador. They've erased every incursion we ever made, someone else whispered. Malver, for the first time in memory, was quiet. Sorrel stood. They let us think they were weak. They studied us while we dismissed them. This wasn't defense. It was a warning. A message came through. Admiral Corthal's face appeared on the Council's main display. He looked shaken. We're standing down. We won't win this. Our weapons don't function around them. Our systems collapse. They don't conquer, they dismantle. I recommend immediate withdrawal. Malver's crest dimmed to a dull blue. We've underestimated them. Sorrel folded her wings calmly. No, Chancellor. We've awakened them. In the shadows of the Milky Way's core, another human fleet stirred. Silent. Waiting. Dozens of ships, invisible to every form of detection, linked by a single directive. Do not let them harm Earth. The humans had warned once. They wouldn't repeat themselves. The council chamber was unrecognizable. Gone was the air of superiority, the effortless calm that once pervaded its marble halls. Now, voices clashed in bitter panic. Delegates shouted over one another, throwing blame like knives. Behind them, holograms looped Earth's broadcast, again and again. A child smiling beneath a Terran warship's shadow. A quiet voice telling them to run. Sorrel, the Avenari ambassador, stood still amid the chaos. She watched, wings tucked tightly behind her, as fear eroded centuries of confidence in minutes. High Chancellor Malver slammed his claw against the floor's command plate. Enough, he roared, crest flaring red. We are not helpless. We are the Council. No, Sorrel said calmly, stepping forward. You are delusional. Heads turned. You still think in fleets and fire. You still believe they play our game. They don't, she said. They dismantle everything we understand without firing a shot. We are not dealing with a mere species. We are dealing with a civilization that evolved under our radar, learned in silence, and now holds the leash of every war doctrine we ever invented. You're suggesting we bow, hissed the Thurn diplomat. I'm suggesting we listen before there's no one left to hear. A murmur passed through the room. Then a flicker. The lights dimmed, barely perceptible. But enough. Everyone felt it. Just like the Orion fleet. No way, muttered the Jethari technician. They're here. Above Virex 9, orbit looked unchanged. Council satellites continued their silent watch. Defense grids stood at full readiness. Every orbital array was locked into combat protocols, but none of them detected the omen. It hovered behind the shadow of the moon-sized defense structure, invisible in every spectrum, systems dormant, observing. It was not there to attack. It was there to remind. Inside the ship, Commander Juno Viral studied the Council broadcasts, live feeds, diplomatic exchanges. She wasn't watching to gloat. She was watching to decide. They're fracturing, Rayan noted. Sorrel's pushing for surrender. Malver is pushing for war. A few want escape. Juno turned toward the star map projected in front of her. What about the rim worlds? Already pulling back. Disavowing the Council. They saw the message and started evacuating outer stations within an hour. Then they're smarter than their leaders. On Earth, the United Terran Council convened beneath the vault again. No uniforms. No pageantry. Just decision-makers. Scientists, strategists, operators, and survivors of long-forgotten wars. Director Amina Sale, head of Terran intelligence, addressed the room. We have 3 options, she began, projecting a stark triad across the wall. Annihilate the Council's command infrastructure. Force unconditional surrender through intimidation and precision dismantlement. Let them live, but isolate Earth permanently. Number 3 gives them room to grow back, said General Lauren. Eventually they'll strike again. You know how empires work. But option 1 guarantees billions dead, another voice added. Juno's voice came over secure comms, patched from the Omen. There's a fourth path. Silence fell. We divide them, she said. Shatter the Council's unity, destroy only those who refuse peace, and support reformers like Sorrel. We don't need war. We just need truth and time. Sale nodded slowly. Controlled fracture. Exactly. And if they resist, then they get a demonstration. The Council didn't wait long. Malver gathered support from hardliners, species long allied through conquest, not consensus. 4 fleets were assembled under his new directive, Operation Contain Terra. It will be swift, Malver promised. We won't conquer. Just isolate. Contain. They need to understand their place. He never noticed the message embedded in his fleet's own logistics stream. A line of human code. Simple. We see you. That night, every one of Malver's fleets failed their hypershift. Simultaneous containment field failures. Quantum destabilizations. Ships vanished into distorted folds of space, never to emerge. Malver woke to the news in a silent chamber. No aids. No guards. No sound. He found a message etched into the air by an invisible projection. Contain this. And below it, coordinate. Deep in Council space. An invitation. The Omen arrived at the edge of the Council's capital system. No weapons active. No shields raised. Just presence. Hundreds of Council vessels were already in formation. Some aimed, some wavering. Admiral Korthal appeared on the Omen's direct channel. You could destroy us all, he said without preamble. Why haven't you? Juno's voice replied, low and steady. Because your extinction teaches nothing. Korthal nodded once. Then what do you want? We want the Council broken and rebuilt, she said. No more puppet empires. No more colonial rule. No more silent Earth. And if we refuse? You won't. Before Korthal could respond, his ship's systems flickered. Not failure, just interference. A new image appeared. It showed the Terran archive, the recorded atrocities of past Council actions, the buried invasions, the sanctioned mass abductions, all the data they thought erased. It had all been copied, preserved. You never buried the truth, Juno said. You just delayed it. Korthal stared. You're going to expose everything. To the entire galaxy. And then we'll leave. That shook him. Leave. Earth has no interest in empire. We protected our own. We're done now. What you choose to do next is your story. She paused. Write a better one. Within hours, the Council fractured. Public outrage exploded across controlled systems. Subjugated species rose in protest. Records spread like fire, undeniable proof of Council crimes. Governments toppled. Loyalists fled. Reformers rose. The Council as it had existed for 10,000 years died in one day, without a shot fired. And Earth, the quiet observer, watched it all unfold from the shadows. Humanity didn't conquer. They corrected. And then they vanished again into the dark. 6 months passed. The galaxy had changed, but not through war. No glassed worlds. No fleets of fire. No planetary bombardment. Only silence, truth, and the heavy weight of consequence. The Galactic Council, as it was once known, had dissolved. What rose in its place was uncertain, fractured into regional coalitions and wary alliances. Yet one fact remained carved into the psyche of every species. Earth had chosen not to destroy them, and that choice haunted them more than annihilation would have. In the Terran vault, Juno Viral sat alone. The command center was quiet, only the soft hum of ancient machines filling the stillness. Outside, Earth was calm. Cities thrived under skies untouched by foreign warships. Children laughed in streets paved with peace humanity had bled for in silence. Rayan approached with 2 cups of synth brew. He handed one to her wordlessly and took a seat beside her. Juno glanced at him. Still no retaliation attempts? Rayan shook his head. No one's moving. Even the bold ones are lying low. It's like they're waiting for us to speak again. She sipped. Then we stay quiet. You sure? We could push. Fill the vacuum. Take control. Juno didn't answer right away. Then, softly, that's not what this was about. Rayan nodded. You think they'll hold the line? No. Not forever. But they'll think twice next time. She turned toward the display wall. Hundreds of feeds tracked reform efforts across alien systems. Newly liberated colonies forging councils of their own. Former council worlds removing statues, rewriting laws, unsealing records. And in all of it, not one human representative in sight. They expected us to rule, Juno said. But we left them with responsibility instead. That's more terrifying. Rayan chuckled. Maybe that's the real threat. In the Outer Rim, on a world once subjugated by council warlords, a monument was unveiled. Not to Earth's ships or soldiers, but to a single message. We warned you. You didn't listen. And beneath it, the human symbol for peace, etched into obsidian stolen from the first council fortress Earth ever dismantled. Crowds gathered in silence. They didn't cheer. They didn't chant. They understood. Sorrel, former ambassador of the Avenari, now head of the new Interstellar Reconciliation Forum, walked alone down a narrow corridor beneath the ruins of the old council hall. Each step echoed in stone that had once trembled with power. She stopped at the sealed door, Malvar's final command center, untouched since his fall. Guards had once refused entry. Now no one wanted to open it, but she did. Inside, it smelled of dust and arrogance. Monitors still displayed schematics for Operation Contain Terra. Charts of Earth, psychological profiles, tactical forecasts, all wrong. All useless. She wiped the dust from one monitor and whispered to no one, they gave us a choice. And we chose fear, she thought. Above Jupiter, the Omen rested in orbit like a myth turned real. Deactivated. Silent. Watching. Inside, the ship required no crew anymore. Its systems were neural, evolved far beyond code. It processed signals from across the stars, archived broadcasts, translated reform bills, catalogued resistance, and flagged patterns of violence. It was humanity's eye. But not their weapon. Back on Earth, deep in Terran defense archives, Amina Sale stood in front of a secured stasis vault. Inside it, technologies Earth had never shared. Gravity negators. Void weave hull fragments. A folded singularity sealed in crystal. She tapped her wrist implant. Update logs. Codename, Guardian Protocol. Status, hibernation. The AI responded. Protocol updated. Awaiting future threat evaluation. She looked through the glass and whispered, stay asleep. Humanity resumed as it always had, quietly. But stories leaked. Aliens told tales in hushed voices of black ships that moved without sound. Of a people who could see without sensors, disrupt without touching. Of worlds liberated by a whisper and a warning. Children in the Rim grew up drawing Earth's symbol in dust. Some called them ghosts. Others called them watchers. None dared call them weak again. 3 cycles later, a council remnant fleet gathered in secret. Admiral Vexen, scarred and burning with the pride of 100 lost battles, paced in a war room hidden beneath a desert moon. They're gone, he snarled. They think silence is power. But we're rebuilding. Quietly. Smarter this time. One of his captains spoke, uncertain. But what if they're still listening? Vexen's eyes narrowed. Then we give them something to hear. He activated a communications array, masked by 1,000 decoys. The signal it sent was encrypted, buried under layers of noise. But it carried one clear phrase. Earth. You don't frighten us anymore. It pulsed once through deep space. Then stopped. 5 hours later, on the other side of the galaxy, the message vanished from every network. Without reply. But on Vexen's moon, the sky darkened for 12 seconds. Not nightfall. Not clouds. Just shadow. In Terran Command, Juno received the full report from the event. Do we respond? Rayan asked. She studied the data. No life lost. No retaliation. Just a shadow. No, she said. We remind them, we don't answer every bark. Rayan smiled. Just the bites. Juno leaned back. Exactly. And so Earth disappeared again. Not because they feared the galaxy, but because the galaxy now feared what Earth chose not to do. In the void left behind, civilizations had to decide what they would become, now that no one was left to oppress, and no one was rising to conquer. The legend of humanity remained. Not in conquest, not in empire, but in restraint, in silence that echoed louder than war.